So let's go to the next slide. ASHRAE is the recommendation is for MERV 13 filters, or the highest possible compatible with HVAC systems. Here's a little bit of an idea of where that fits in. Two charts, one efficiency on particles 1 to 3 microns, the other one particles 0.3 to 1 micron. You'll see that MERV 13 filters in both categories are substantially better than the other filters. So that's why the recommendation is what it is. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's the problem: availability. It's great to say MERV 13 was what we needed. It was 5% of the market. All of a sudden, in 2020, the demand went to 40% of the market. You couldn't get MERV 13 filters. I just talked to a major manufacturer last week. They have upped their capacity. That is not going to be as much of a problem this year. That's not an excuse that school districts and universities can use. Cost, it's definitely more expensive, but thankfully the MERV 13 prices are stable, and you have to consider true cost, which is the filters, the cost of the filters versus the risk involved. So it's a very, very low relative cost. And then compatibility of equipment. And again, the concerns are that the increased resistance of the MERV 13 filters are going to tax the older HVAC systems. But if you look at it, the next part of the slide, we've got a MERV 10, a MERV 11, and a MERV 13. All three of these are relatively close in resistance. So if they're going with filters that are pleated filters, well made, that is not as much of a concern as has been made out to be. Plus, the MERV 13 gets dirty faster. You're going to have to change it out faster, but I think that's what you're trying to do with the filter anyhow. It's a good thing that the filter is getting dirty. Some school districts have gone to MERV 11, which is perfectly acceptable. It's a good alternative. They're worried about their equipment. And MERV 11 is certainly better than a MERV 8 or a MERV 10. And then right now what we're seeing is that schools are either all in, they're buying MERV 13 for every building, or they're all out. They're buying no MERV 13 at all. And my position would be that every school district has buildings that have plenty of capacity in their units. They should be spending the money on MERV 13 filters rather than other things. It's a very small percentage of the overall building budget, and a very good investment at this time. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. So most of you have probably heard of the Corsi Rosenthal box. It's a low cost, do it yourself, easy to assemble, and effective air cleaner. The picture on your left is one that's fully built. It has a tape shroud. David has done some great work on making sure that we know exactly how much of a shroud is needed. And then the diagram on the right, volunteer did this and put a nice shroud on top. It's very simple to make. Next slide, please. So here's some of the advantages of this Corsi Rosenthal box. If you have the money, I would definitely recommend buying a good high quality HEPA air purifier. But if you don't have the money, this is a great alternative. The supplies are very easy to find. All you need are 4 or 5 MERV 13 filters, a box fan, and tape. It's inexpensive, costs less than $100 to make it. Simple construction. I'm really serious about this. If you can seal a box, you can make a Corsi Rosenthal box air cleaner, and just really that simple. It's powerful. By using this box design, you avoid the resistance of the filters. You also create negative pressure inside the box as the air is drawn out from the fan. So it's 500 feet per minute, 24 inches from the fan. You're not really going to get the same thing even from good HEPA air purifiers. It's efficient. If you look at like 2.5 microns, 94% efficient, 5 microns, 95% efficient. These are particles in the target range that we're looking at, even down to 0.3 microns, 58%. And by the way, you'll get this question, and Lindsay referred to this earlier, where people think that filters don't capture particles lower than 0.3 microns. And that's absolutely incorrect. Filters include HEPA filters, MERV 13 filters. They all get more efficient because of the way that filtration works. They get more efficient on these smaller sized particles. It's safe. UL has studied this, and they found that it actually meets all the limits for safety. We had a lot of concerns early on about whether or not motors would overheat or we'd have strain on the motor. And even with one filter on a box fan, it's within the prescribed limits. And it's relatively quiet. It's 51 decibels at 6 feet. And finally, next slide, please. It's scalable. It is the type of thing that any school could do. It's a type of thing that could be a project. You could have 10-year-olds doing a science project and making something that would make their classrooms safer and reduce any viral count that's in the classroom. It's a great way to have people learn and feel like they're helping with COVID.